Welcome back. We're going to get on the topic of the Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Senators, possibly one of the best matchups in the playoffs. Not so much in terms of maybe just the goal-scoring factor, but just the drama involved on the ice, off the ice. You got a fat walrus. You got a couple of dirty players. No, it just seems this has storylines that just keeps on giving. Paul McLean called a timeout after about 17 seconds to go, just saying, you know what, I need to calm my players down, let them know, just trying to finish this debacle of Game 3, which was just fights galore, where you had on the other end Michel Therrien, who felt that was disrespectful. But then when he was asked about, well, you were putting your goon line out there, your fourth line, and you mentioned Colby Armstrong, he's like, that guy never had to fight in like maybe 2 fights in his career. My worst impression of Michel Therrien, by the way. No, but I do want to say, being serious though, Colby Armstrong's had more than 2 fights. I think he's had about a dozen when we were trying to look up the researching it.
Yeah, so at least 4 fights in a Western road trip in the
exactly.
Red Deer.
But it seems like a war of words. I know we've mentioned this before. It just seems that they're trying to deflect any of the pressure on the players. Is this what's going on from both coaches?
Yeah.
And is there any disrespect, really?
I don't think there's any disrespect, but it's a bit of a mind games between the coaches right now. And you see that at every level. We do that in our level too, where you play a little bit of games, you try to get the players out of it, but you love the drama. I love watching it. I love the 5-on-5. And to say that Montreal didn't send their tough guys on after Ottawa just scored, maybe not all their tough guys are on the ice, but you know, there's a few guys. White exactly isn't a very skilled hockey player, let's just say. He's more skilled with the stick out of his gloves than the stick in his gloves.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, half the game is mental. I think almost any team can win a Stanley Cup right now. If mind games help you, so be it.
Graba's done his 2-game suspension. On the lineup or in the line for the Ottawa Senators, are you expecting the same fireworks to display, maybe even players on Montreal going after Eric Gryba?
Yeah, likely.
Yeah.
Almost a guarantee. And I think, you know, you look at Ottawa's lineup, in Montreal, I think they're making a mistake doing that because I think Ottawa, with their size they have in the back end, the size they have in the front, and the skill they have too, and great goaltending, they're a pretty solid hockey team. Montreal doesn't have the size. They have a couple of tough guys, not a whole bunch. So they're going to have to do it by committee, toughness-wise. So if Montreal wants to respond to Ottawa toughness, Ottawa's going to respond right back.
And I do want to get on the topic of the brawl that happened during Game 3, over 236 penalty minutes altogether, well over 100 and some during those fights. Do you think, even though there was no suspensions, there should have been some type of some discipline brought up by the NHL, or should you just let these guys play?
It's amazing. Playoffs to regular season. If that's regular season, there's suspensions galore. Playoffs, it's a whole different ball game out there. I think in the game today, especially when it comes to fighting, and I know we have so many people that think that fighting is a bad thing and fighting is going to get players hurt. I rather see suspensions for guys running at guys' heads, at their knees, than to going after a guy that's dropping his gloves and just hitting a guy on the top of the forehead.
Yeah, I like to see him play. I mean, this is why this series is one of the best in the playoffs so far. Just let him play.
All right, guys. Roberto Luongo, I guess he's wanting to say, let me play, considering the way he has performed in Games 1 and 2. Schneider, of course, was hurt back in Game 3, played a solid 40 minutes, but that third period kind of was a bit of a collapse. Now, what do you do in this situation? You put Roberto back in Game 4. Then what if you're the Vancouver Canucks?
Well, if I was the Vancouver Canucks, you got a bigger problem than just goaltending. I think first 2 games you can't blame Bobby Lou at all. Third game, yeah, Schneider, you needed a save in the third period. You needed a save when you're trying to get back in that game. You didn't get it from your goalie. Bobby Lou goes in to finish the game. So it's not Bobby Lou's fault. Schneider, yeah, for about 20 minutes there, he didn't play that well. But their problem is beyond goaltending. They have no secondary scoring. Their defense is a little soft. They're going to lose out in the first round again for the 3rd straight season. A team that's supposed to go all the way to the Stanley Cup final, it's time to blow it up in Vancouver.
Well, who do you get rid of in this case? Luongo's played well enough, but that contract is an issue. Schneider has looked shaky, and I'm sure Vancouver fans and your general manager, Mike Gillis, is thinking maybe this isn't the guy who's ready just yet to take over the #1 mantle, especially when you're in a pressure cooker like Vancouver.
It's really tough. I'd almost see a front office change before anything else right now because they have the talent. It's not a problem with that. And you can't move any guy like Lou anymore because of his contract. No one's going to pick up that $6.7 million contract anymore.
Unless they take a chunk out of it, right?
Yeah, unless I think Vancouver's going to have to give up way too much if they want to give up Lou.
They're going to have to eat Bobby Lou's contract, at least half of it or 3/4 of it, because nobody's going to take him. He knows that. Vancouver knows that. And every other general manager in the NHL knows that. All
right, I'm going to throw 3 names at you. Brendan Gallagher, Jonathan Huberdeau, Brandon Saad. 3 guys that are named as Calder Trophy finalists for Rookie of the Year in the NHL. I don't see Nail Yakupov, even though he was the leading scorer amongst rookies with 17, was tied with Huberdeau with 31 points. Didn't have as many shots, but his percentage of goals is 21%. I believe that was the best among the rookies.
Yeah.
Why wasn't Yakupov chosen?
I really have no idea. I mean, if you look at the stats, the past 50 years, every time a rookie scorer has led the league in rookie goals, he's always been a top 3 guy. And Yakupov wasn't put on the list. I'm thinking maybe he got about 6 goals in the last 7-10 game run where they realized that they weren't in playoffs anyway, so maybe those goals didn't really count in those books. But I think even if he doesn't win a Calder, he should have been on the top 3.
Yeah, you think a finalist. You're not saying that we're saying a Calder Trophy winner. I'm saying a finalist. Never mind those goals. It was a 48-game season.
Yep.
You judge the guy by what they did in the regular season. Why was he not picked?
Yeah, I should have been a finalist. I agree with that. Win it, probably not. He's probably criticized, just looking from the outside, looking in, is that he's not an all-around player. And that's the problems they had with him at Edmonton, where he's a defensive liability when he's on the ice at times. His defensive game got better as the season went on, but he's still a bit of a defensive liability.
He's still a rookie.
A tremendous upside on the offensive end of things, but at the same time, he's got a lot of game to learn. And he's, first year. So.
Well, I guess that's the reason why Gabriel Landeskog won the Calder last year. Didn't put up as much points. Was in the top still, but I mean, he was a 2A guy, and I think maybe that was in consideration for him. All right, guys, when we come back, we'll have Over-Under next.